We'll hit off that.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, we're going to talk today
Let's go.
about harmonization of the spirit and the soul. That's what it's called.
Ooh. You mean renewing your mind?
It has a lot to do with it. Hallelujah.
What book and chapter would that be in?
Well, the first thing I want to read to you guys is Mark 4:13, and there's a reason for that. Mark 4, come on, 13. And he said to them, "Do you not discern and understand this parable? How then is it possible for you to discern and understand all the parables?" So, Jesus was being very specific, wasn't he? He says, if you don't understand these boys, you ain't going to stand the whole show. You ain't going to understand anything I say. The sower sows the word. The one along the path are those who have the word sown in their hearts, not their heads. 99% of everybody that's running around today has an what else I want to say? Storing that information not in the heart, but in the mind, their intellect. It's all done through their mind and their senses, which does not give you the word, the living, the power, the essence of God. And if you only use your intellect to understand God's word, and you can confess it, and you can write it down, and you can repeat it, and you can boast and beat your chest on how much of the word that you have memorized. And you know what that's going to do for you? Absolutely nothing. You can confess it until your eyeballs fall out, and it's going to give you absolutely nothing. Because you've got to have it in your heart. See, that's where the soul and the spirit lives, is in your heart. That's why he talks about the ones along the path are those who have the word sown in their hearts, not their heads. See, the intellect only understands what the senses program it to be. It has nothing to do with the word. If you don't know the word in your heart, then when this problem comes up, what are you going to do? You're going to fail. That's what's going to happen. And you may be riding high, and your willpower has got it in there, and you're stroking, and you're doing great. And every time you look in the mirror, you see Jesus in there, and you're praising God. And then all of a sudden, that willpower gets tired. See, the willpower is only as good as long as it's in control, and the willpower takes all the energy in your physical and your mental and your social. And it's a stress put on you, and eventually you're going to get tired. And when you get tired, then guess what happens? You fall back into that same old routine of not enough. And then you fall back into the self-condemnation. My God, why am I still like this?
Ken Minshew is calling. Say answer.
Hello?
Can we tune in with you on
Yes, sir.
soldiers?
Yes, sir. You're on. So, when that happens, you know, you do this. It's a roller coaster. It's called wavering. You're on the word, you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden, you're down in the dumps, and you're back in the same routine. you're having less of what? Less of love, less of money. It doesn't matter. It's all, but see, it's all then, when you stay in that state of the intellect, it's all about you. Where's Jesus in that? So we can't rely on ourselves. We're supposed to what? Bend your knee. We're supposed to what? Die on the cross with the Lord. And that's that self, that's that intellect, that's the ego, that's who we think we are. That has to die. It's got to be dead. It can't come back. Because if it does come back, then it's going to want control. And when it wants control, then you can read the Bible and you can memorize every word in every scripture in every 14 different Bibles, and it's all in your head.
It'll all be a failure.
You're missing the boat. It's got to be, if you only know one scripture and it's in your heart, that's better than memorizing 14 Bibles. Because you know that Jesus is there. That's why it says, Jesus in me, my hope of glory. Jesus in me. It's in your heart. Your hope is just another word for believe. And the glory is the power. And the power took Jesus from hell and put him in heaven. That's why we have to put it in our hearts, not our heads. You can't create, you can't build on, you can't build a foundation on the intellect. It has to be done, it has to be knowing, it has to be in your heart, and it has to be done in love. Okay? Now we're going to go to, I'm going to stay in Proverbs, and I'm just going to show you that the Old Testament, that a lot of people think has no value, it has no meaning, it's not significant to living in today's society. And the Old Testament was what? Does anybody know what the Old Testament is?
The law.
It was that. It's also a shadow of whom?
Jesus.
Jesus. That's from Genesis all the way to Revelations.
And it's where all of the apostles got their revelation from, was the Old Testament.
Yeah, they didn't look up Genesis, Galatians, and because they were right. So where did they get all this information from? It had to be the Old Testament. Did you know Paul, and I didn't know this, but when Paul got out of the desert for 3 years, he went and became a deacon in a church for 14 more years before he became a disciple?
Yeah.
I just learned that recently.
Same place I did.
What we're looking at, what chapter of Proverbs?
2, verse 1, 2, and 3. Okay, my son, if you will receive my words and treasure them up, my commandments within you. Treasure up my commandments within you. If you'll receive my words and treasure up my commandments within you, not in your head, in your heart, making your ear attentive to skillful and godly wisdom, and inclining and directing your heart and mind to understanding, applying all your powers to the quest for it. Yes, if you cry out for insight and raise your voice for understanding. Now he's talking about your heart and your mind, see? And this is in the Old Testament. Your heart is where the Spirit is. That's in love. And then your mind is where your intellect is. So see, he's talking about the continuity, they're being harmonious, in harmony of the mind and the heart. The soul is your mind, and your heart is where your spirit is. So they're talking about harmony with the soul and the spirit in the Old Testament. You see that? Making your ear attentive to skillful and godly wisdom. Well, your ear is what? It's one of your senses. So he's telling you you're bringing it in through your ears, which is for your soul, and inclining and directing your heart. So it's putting it in your mind through your senses of hearing, and it's also be putting in your mind, your heart, through love. And that's Proverbs in the Old Testament. And he's teaching you right there to have the harmonious balance of soul and spirit. Anybody got any questions? Okay, let's go to verse 9, 10, and 11. Then you will understand righteousness, justice, and fair dealing in every area and relation. Yes, you will understand every good path. For skillful and godly wisdom shall enter into your heart, and knowledge shall be pleasant to you. Discretion shall watch over you, understanding shall keep you.
That's good.
See, knowledge is from the Word. It comes from the Spirit. Wisdom is in your, I've got it backwards. Wisdom is in your spirit, and knowledge comes from your soul. Discretion shall watch over you, understanding, discretion from the heart, shall watch over you, understanding shall keep you, and that's your soul. Harmony, spirit and soul. It's that harmonious relationship. When you have that harmonious relationship, then there is no what? There's no doubt, there's no wavering. There's no
Lack. No lack.
That's it.
Right.
Then you will understand righteousness. And what is righteousness? As it should be. We're living in the garden as we should. That's heaven on earth. That's kingdom living now. That's how Adam lived. He was in perfect harmony in spirit and soul. See that?
Until
He fell. But we're not going to fall. Hallelujah.
We're going the other way.
Now let's go to Proverbs 3, 2, 3, and 4. For length of days and years of a life, not just a life, but a life worth living. Kingdom now. No lack, no sickness, no disease, no worry, no stress. All your needs are met, you're out of debt, and you even got more to store. And tranquility, inward and outward, and continuing through old age till death. These shall they add to you. The outward is your soul. The inward is your spirit. Let not mercy and kindness, shutting out all hatred and selfishness. Let not mercy and kindness and truth forsake you, bind you about your neck, write them upon the tablet of your heart. Now let's go back. I'm going to do the parentheses because this is an amplified. Let not mercy and kindness, shutting out all hatred and selfishness, shutting out all deliberate hypocrisy or falsehood. That's why we have to understand that we're not shutting out anything from the soul, even though the information that's coming from our senses are telling us that we're in lack. That's what Adam did. He listened to Satan. But he knew better anyway, but he was in love with his wife. Let not mercy and kindness. Shutting out all hatred and selfishness. Why should we be shutting out all hatred and selfishness? Shutting out all deliberate hypocrisy or falsehood. Let not mercy and kindness forsake you. Bind them about your neck, write them upon the tablet of your heart.
Okay, explain ways to write it on your heart. Give us a meditation example.
Meditate on 1 Peter 2:24.
Okay, now let's go through it as an example, as how you would meditate.
First of all, you get into a meditative state.
Okay.
Okay, and you know how to do that.
Right.
That's through the exercising of going from the state of awareness that we're in with our conscious mind controlling us, that we want to get into a delta state where the subconscious mind has more freedom. So then you're not battling from the soul side of it. And then you meditate on that word. You get into that meditative state, and I do it this way. I see myself sitting at a table with Jesus, and we're talking. And he's saying, I bore your sicknesses, I carried your diseases, and by my bruising you were healed. And I listened to him, and I talked to him about it. And I'm sitting there in that state, which opens up my heart, which it becomes not just a statement or an imaginary trip, but it's truth, and that is a truth that is being built in my heart.
It makes the event.
And I found out that when I do that, I get emotional.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
And that's what, I think that's what actually writes it.
An emotional state through a spoken statement, but it has to be tied in with emotion, becomes an everlasting belief of the heart,
Right.
either good or bad. But yes, that's how it works, through the emotions. That's the pen that writes it on your heart. And that's the way you were pre-programmed in your mama's womb, because of her emotion, with somebody that was speaking with her either good or bad, in love or fear, and that's how we're pre-programmed in our heart, in our cells, in our genes.
She was having the emotions.
Yeah, but her emotions were being transferred to us. So if your mother was a woman that was always afraid, then guess what? You're pre-programmed to be afraid. But you can get over that. You can pre-program yourself and get that out of your heart, and this is what we're talking about.
You have to discern it all.
And my mother was always in fear, and loud noises and stuff like that, and she was always fearful of life. And if she didn't have something to be afraid of, she'd create it. But she was always in that turmoil, stress, and she's always had high blood pressure her whole life because of her worry. But she had to create something to worry about. But that's that condemnation that we're talking about, that you can be born with it. It's not your fault. But it is your fault if you sit there and live with it for 50 years.
See, there's the bingo right there. That's it. Because now we have the knowledge to know how to
Correct, sir.
get rid of it, send it away.
You can create whatever you want to do. This whole society, this reality, this world that we live in is subject to who? Us. We create the reality that we choose to live in. They've proven that through quantum mechanics.
Now explain that.
When they were looking all the way down to below the microcosm of an atom.
Yeah.
They went into the protons and the neutrons, and then they went farther, even more into the microcosms of that, and they found out was made out of photon energy waves. And those photon energy waves could travel faster than the speed of light. And they could be in two places simultaneously.
They can be in a lot of places simultaneously.
And the only way they can describe it is that they're interdimensional, that they can go into different dimensions. Now, when they had scientists looking at through the electronic microscope down there, they were trying to do an experiment, and when these photon energy waves would slow down, they would turn in from energy waves into matter. So they did a metamorphosis from just pure energy into matter. It became an atom. So each time the scientists would do that, then to be a scientific experiment, you had to do it more than once, and every time you did the experiment, it had to come out the same way. And that way it proved that you knew what you were doing. But every time they'd get a scientist in there to do it, the experiment would never turn out the same, because it would only turn out the way the scientists believed.
Perceived, yeah.
So that tells you that what? Matter, all the way down to the energy level, is subject to what? Us.
Yeah, it's us.
See that, Bill?
Okay, that energy wave you're talking about, that all the way down to whatever, is that considered a spirit or flesh? Which one?
It's energy. It came from God.
Right.
It's a basic building block of everything in this world. Your energy.
Of reality.
That's what if you go farther down, you know, you're a microcosm of you, and then you, a macrocosm, then a microcosm, and what you're made out of in this natural world is energy. And there's something even smaller than that, but we don't have the technology to get there. Yeah. That's as low as they can
Is
go.
that what they're studying in some of these places called
Nanotechnology,
Yeah.
that's a byproduct of that, yeah. They can create machines now the size of an atom.
Listen to this, quantum mechanics break down the matter, smallest matter, and it can be everywhere at once, like you say. I mean,
It's
it's not,
multi-dimensional.
yeah, and so these scientists over in Cerman, Switzerland are saying, you know, there are many dimensions now. They think it's 11 dimensions.
Right, that's where string theory comes in.
They're saying the world that we live in is not the real world. The real world is, here scientists saying it, but they don't know what holds it together. That's why they're doing it. Of course, Jesus, we know that. And so it's kind of like a hologram.
Right.
That we're in a smaller universe, but we're in a bigger universe.
Yeah.
Is that?
Microcosm, macrocosm.
Yeah.
And so we're a small part of the whole. The larger whole is the actual reality, not what we're experiencing here. And so what you're saying is, in the meditation state, you can actually go into.
Yes, you can.
Is that right?
Yes, you can.
You go down to the microcosm.
And we can go into other realities.
This is an illusion right now that we're living in.
Yeah, so the reality you choose is the reality you get.
That's right.
And so if you choose the reality that God's told you, but the rest of the world doesn't see it, doesn't matter.
Right.
You just hang on there. And that works in deals every day.
See, that's why God always did what? He spoke the end from the beginning. Okay, well that was the reality He created from the end, and He brought it back to the beginning. So He was creating realities. And we have what? What did Jesus say? These things you can do that I did, but even greater things.
Greater things, right.
So He's telling us right there that we can create the reality we choose to live in. Good or bad. And you're doing it every day. Well, even though you don't know it, your subconscious mind is building on this. And your conscious mind, if you keep saying, you know, I've been down so long it looks like up to me, well, that's the reality you just created, sir.
I've chosen to close the mill funding this year, and the amount's $10 million, and it's coming through a conservation easement. And there's no way that's not gonna happen. There's a lot of steps to go through, but it's a done deal. Because, why? Not because I chose it. I chose it because God said, hey, it's available. You want to choose it? And I said, yeah, I'll choose that.
He said, it's
Okay.
already there.
But you do
It's
believe
already there.
Yeah, I believe it.
So
It's already
stop
there.
believing it, would that monkey it up?
Yeah. that's right.
Certainly.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that reality he chose to live in is opposite of the reality he chose to live in.
If you choose something else, and then it starts forming.
It collapses.
So is this kind of makes sense maybe a little bit for what Galatians 2:20, because I've been meditating that all the time. I was crucified with Christ Jesus.
Right.
I was born again 1,938 years after Jesus was crucified, and yet I was crucified.
Because your energy, that's who you are. Energy, it cannot be created and it cannot be destroyed. There's only one person that can create energy. And he said, light be.
Yeah.
And it was a sound that created everything. The first thing wasn't light, it was a sound. It was a word, sound wave. And everything was created off of that. That was the first thing that happened.
The Word.
The word, the sound.
Maybe that's why he elevates the Word above his name.
Absolutely. Because everything is created from sound. We're all energy, we're all
We got a
waves.
pretty neat God, you know that?
He's pretty smart too. So, next time, Phil, you get discouraged because it ain't happening the way you want it to happen. You know what you do? You choose to live in a different reality, brother.
Right.
Because you're the author of how you want to live. Bill, you're the author. Highlight. Even though you're an attorney, you still have the authority. Coach,
And despite that, we love you.
it's just like hitting that golf ball over that white flag in a little curve. You've done that 1,000, I've seen you do it 1,000 times. There ain't no different than that than believing you're tomorrow. How do you
All
want
those things
to?
have been on as though they were.
That's it.
Right.
That's when you're creating that reality. And we all have it inside of us. You don't have to be born again to do this. You don't. Because we all have it because we're created in the image of God, born again or not.
Right.
That's why a lot of evil people have a lot of money, because they understand this principle and they use it. You get in your race car, Jim, and you do it every time. You know that curve is coming up. You've already done it in your imagination before you got there. You already saw yourself go through that curve at the right RPM, at the right braking, and at the right gear. And you know exactly where to turn that steering wheel, where you can power slide under around that corner. You did it before you got there. In from the beginning, brother. Tomorrow's the same
And
way.
you don't think about it before you do it.
No.
It's true.
That's why you get into that meditative state, so you slow down the conscious side, the soul. You already know about that. You were trained to do that in the SEALs.
Right.
Ron is doing. This is elementary, guys. This
You
is,
go through that mental state where you know it before you get out there. You've already been there.
you've lived it, you've done it, you've experienced it.
Same.
See, we're not trapped in time, guys.
Right.
We're outside of time. Time is nothing more than created by us, so the natural mind has something to grab a hold of. That's all it's for. You get in a meditative state, you're outside of time. Time is irrelevant. You don't even think about time. Jesus did.
Time is of no consequence.
I said this to Coach this morning about time. There was this lady that was in this church, and it was Pentecost Sunday. And so the preacher said, "This is Pentecost Sunday." And he waved his hands, and all of a sudden, she looked to the right, and there was a cloud coming. And then all of a sudden, the cloud went over everybody, and she said it was like you were in water, but the water was all over you, and you were drinking it and smelling it at the same time. And she just said this was incredible. So she walked up to put money in the basket, and she turned around, and everybody in the room was glowing in white light. She said she couldn't tell Hispanic person or anybody, she knew the facial features, but could not tell it because of the light coming out of everybody's face and body. And she said she saw beams of light come up out of their bodies like a porcupine. Some big, some, just everywhere. Everybody then were clapping, but she said time was no more. It was just there. And she said what amazed her was what was coming out of your mouth were like a laser beams. They were singing, praise to God. And it was, phew. And so she thought, well, I'm up here long enough, everybody's staring at me. And as soon as she took a step back to her seat, she went back into this world.
Instead of the Shekinah glory.
Yeah, it was a dimension.
Right.
Yeah, it was a dimension.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I was talking about. We
And
can
so
go to
it's
others.
kind of like when we're talking with Jesus, I mean, he sees light in us because, we're beaming it out too,
Right. That's what God sees when he looks at us.
Right.
Praise God.
And that's
We're
Shekinah
we're such powerful creations of the Father, and we don't know it.
glory. And we don't utilize.
We don't even live 1/10 of where we should be. We should be living limitless life.
Right.
There should be
We
not
should
a
go-
limit on anything that we do.
1,000 years ought to be like a snap.
See, and we only think, when we get into our soul, which is limited by our senses, which is limited by our life experiences, which is limited by this reality, which is really an illusion. No wonder people die at 60 years old of prostate cancer, or heart failure, or whatever. We're created to be more than that.
Right.
See, and the body says, this isn't right. Every cell in your body's screaming, there's more.
And we keep hanging on to lack.
I don't want to hang on to lack anymore.
See, it's if you want to embrace,
I like life. I'll stay here. I'd rather do that than limitless, yeah.
yeah, I don't want to have a healthy life. I don't want to live healthy till the day I decide I want to go home. I don't want to do it either. Well, then don't, dumbass. Die young of some sickness or disease. I want to struggle. I want to write a check for this ministry that the Lord told me to, and it was $50,000, and I got $200 in my pocket. That's not right.
You're right that it's not right. Yeah.
We're living below who we're supposed to be, Eddie. And it's not your fault. It is now because you know better. But, you're not taught this in Sunday school growing up in the Baptist church, like most of us were, or the Presbyterian, or the Lutheran, whatever it was, the Catholic, it doesn't matter. They're not teaching us this because they want us to they want to have control over us, to make us come back, because if you don't go to this specific church, then you can't talk to God, and God won't talk to you, because God's here.
And they keep saying that they are the way away from lack.
If you don't come in here and you don't tithe, and I believe in giving, brother. I believe in giving, but out of your heart.
Last night, when I turned on my TV after my meeting, it just happened to be on a channel that John Hagee was on. You know who that is?
Yes, I do.
And for 5 minutes, I just listened to him, and then I turned it off.
Sad,
It's
isn't it?
just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sitting there worried, wringing his hands about this strong man who Jesus squashed into a pile of rubbish, according to Colossians 2:15.
But see, they have to bring in fear
Right.
for control. See, because I know how. Because look at this giant church that I'm pastoring in, and I've got a hotline to God, and God uses me because I have a special anointing. Not saying Hagee does. I'm just using this. Well, no, we all have the same anointings. Everything that Jesus did, what did he say?
Even more we can do.
Did he not tell us to do what he did and even more?
Yes, he did.
Didn't Jesus say that? Did he say it to the Baptists? And the Presbyterians? And the Methodists?
To the world.
And the Catholic?
Yep, to the world.
He did to everybody.
I choose to believe that.
Everybody. And it doesn't matter who you are, the color of your skin, or if you're a woman or a guy, or it doesn't matter. He told us to go do this. And he's showing us through his word how to do it. How to do it. In love. There's no force.
It's amazing to me now of how we possessed Jesus as our own, in our own mind. He's an Anglo-Saxon, white,
Yeah, blue-eyed,
blue-eyed,
kind of blonde-haired Jew.
Jew. But think about those guys in the Middle East or Far East, how many billions there are that would never look at him the same way we do.
No.
So we're very possessive of that. And we don't believe that anybody else can go to heaven unless you believe that.
See, unfortunately, we've been taught in the Western and most religions, I don't care what religions they are, that religion says, you know, God looks like me.
Yeah.
We made God in our own image. I don't think that's the way it worked. I think we were made in his image.
Right.
Right.
But you know what's funny? Psychologists and psychiatrists say in the study that they've done that we perceive God as being more like our own Father on earth.
Yeah.
That we sort of kind of put him in that category. Well, you know, when you really think about it now, if you really meditate on that, why are so many young black men now so crazy about rioting and drugs and all that? They had no father.
That's right.
They have a bad image of a father.
That's right.
See, there's no way you can, these people are probably the hardest people right now to get converted to Christianity because of the hatred that they have toward men that are having no father in the home.
See, it's a hole in their hearts, and they're searching for unconditional love.
It is.
And you can't find unconditional love by sleeping around. You can't find unconditional love, and then they
Except for a dog. See?
except for a dog.
Yeah.
Well,
And God, yeah.
Yeah, well, they don't have a soul, so yeah. But that hole that we have that can only be filled through that unconditional love of a personal relationship with Jesus,
Yeah.
and they're going to do it the world's way. I did it after I was born again and baptized. I still was chasing that hole because I didn't know how to receive unconditional love. And there's only one way. And that's a personal relationship. But
Yeah.
let Jesus come in and love on you, not the way religion is portraying God. And that's our problem. We've never experienced unconditional love from anybody. There's not a person in this that was born of a woman can give you unconditional love. Nobody. Not your children, not your wife, not your mama, not your daddy. It don't matter who it is. They don't. They don't know how. They don't understand. It's got to be that relationship through God. That's the only thing that'll fill that hole in your heart, Eddie. And it don't matter. You can go with the world's way. You know, you can make $100 trillion and you're still not going to fill that hole. Why do you think Robin Williams killed himself? He hung himself. And he was worldly famous. He was rich. You know, and he'd been in Hollywood forever.
Oh, yeah.
But unconditional love. He just got tired of playing the game, and he said, I'd rather die than live this existence.
One of the ways you can find that unconditional love is do, like Jim says, is get into meditation and see yourself with Jesus being crucified, buried, raised with him. Now you're sharing the joint participation as he is right now.
Right.
So
Yes.
you start seeing yourself as Jesus sees you
Yeah.
in all aspects of life, you know. So you're talking to him and he's talking to you and he loves you so
Well, he's
much.
beaming that love.
Oh, yeah,
He's coming
beaming
out,
the
that's that
love.
light.
It's
Light.
And we're
Those
beaming it
lasers.
back to him.
Yes.
So it's, you know, it's a fellowship that we want.
Now you're hitting on it.
We,
Think
It is a
about though,
fellowship.
how many churches are preaching stuff
yeah.
that you can't even catch on to that.
Performance-based, Eddie.
One. Right here.
I
How
mean,
many others do you know?
I've known 73 years of my life, man.
I know, and you grew up in church, man. You've been to
I
more
mean,
church.
I've heard more preaching than,
You got 50 years of sitting in the pew, brother.
It took me 2 years to forget all the shit I learned in church. I'm doing so much of it. So much joy and peace and love. Except God loves you no matter what. I remember
it's
that.
a thing about it is we've been
Lied to, brother.
Yeah.
both of them. I mean, about this thing, because these guys want to keep their job and want to keep the pay, to pay the bills.
Right.
Well, we've also been lied to about society, because Loyd said about, you can memorize the whole Bible in your mind, but if it's not in your heart, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And as men, until a couple years ago, when you think of heart, you think feminine, weak,
Yeah.
wimpy. That's for girls.
Yeah.
I live in my mind, intellectual, I'm smarter.
Yes.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, that's, we're talking about that Saturday, how to live from your heart versus your mind. And what words come to mind when you say heart? And it's almost always wimpy,
Yeah,
feminine,
yeah,
girls, I mean, it's not manly, but that's where God is in your heart.
God,
Absolutely.
Well, that's why you need to change your badge.
From all
That's
that.
love. It's got hearts all over it. It's the love basket.
You got to release yourself from all that. It's not love, you've
Yeah.
got to maintain love.
Well, how many Christians know who are condemning and have no love at all to show towards others?
Oh, I know.
You know?
And
They don't love themselves.
I can tell you a true story. This lady that was a pastor over at First Baptist Church Decatur, they got kicked out of the Baptist Association because one preacher. Good lady, great lady, married, the whole smear. And her mother joined that church where she was a pastor. And in that Sunday school class where she was active,
The bathroom?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's
And,
from down here. That's right around the corner.
they started criticizing the pastor with that woman inside that Sunday school class. That woman had to quit and get out of the church. Finally, her daughter resigned as a pastor. This happened within the Christian church, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Showing that love.
I mean,
That's religion.
when I read about
You have to
that,
convert to our kind of love.
Yeah.
Not the kind of love you think,
No,
the kind
yeah.
of love we think.
That's religion, man.
it is religion. It is just total religion.
Yeah, there's no love in religion.
And
There's no love.
All they want is monkey see, monkey do.
See, the church, when Jesus was rocking around and his disciples, they went to people's homes. There were home churches. There weren't these mega churches. And they taught one-on-one, and it was full of love.
that's true.
And today, they want, hey, I'm mega preacher. Look at me. I've got, and I'm on TV, and I don't mind them having jets and cars because they should live like that. Men of God should be up there with the richest people in the world because showing everybody else that you don't have to live a limitless life. But
They're the first ones that gets criticized, though.
of course I do, because, all preachers should live in a tree, eat air, and drink water.
Yeah.
But that's not
It's
true.
not, man.
But once again, there's religion. But that Jesus did nothing more than express unconditional love to everybody. Even to the guys that were changing money in the temple, and he took the cat of nine tails and turned over and beat them because they were breaking the law. And that was Jesus walked under the old law. That was Old Testament still. The New Testament didn't come in until he was crucified. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John part of that was under the old law, the Old Testament. Just because you go to Matthew doesn't mean it's New Testament. A lot of people don't know that. But he was taking them out because they were what? They were more interested, and plus, the scales were out, and they were weighing it here in their favor, and they were stealing from the people. So, and he got indignant, a righteous anger. I get righteously angered at people, and that's why I can't watch TV anymore with these preachers out there. They're horrible. You know, hey, give to get, Bill. That's how it works. If you give, you'll get.
Can't have a harvest without a seed.
And that's horrible. That's not true. Right here it said, when we read Mark 4:13, what did he say? If you don't understand this parable, you can't understand anything of my word. And it's giving out of love, not out of get. You give out of love. And it doesn't mean just money. It means everything. You give your time. You give somebody in the Walmart parking lot, you unload water for them because they're old and they can't do it.
Right.
And push their buggy back. Whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You open a door for somebody or you smile. Just a smile. See how many people, when we go out to the cars after this and I smile, I'll get 8 out of 10 people will smile back. The other 2 will even frown harder.
Yeah.
You know?
So even in traffic, letting somebody in front of you,
Oh, yes.
except on the racetrack.
Not on the racetrack. Or you're in a pattern, holding pattern. But it's all about that. I want you guys to walk today, think about this when you leave here. Walk in love. Smile at somebody. Open the door for somebody. Could be even your wife.
Imagine that.
It's got down to that.
It just send the love forward. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. Send the love forward. And when you continually send the love forward, then the getting comes into play. See? But that's all reciprocity. Whatever you give, you're going to get back. But you don't do it to get it back. You do it out of love. But it's a law. It will come back to you. It has to. That's the way God created everything.
I had a unique experience this weekend. We've been having a little animosity thing, but my grandson, he's into baseball, 12 years old, getting ready to go through puberty, the whole spirit. You ask him a question, you go, woman, I wanted to put his chest out and be a man. And so I took him with me yesterday. I just took him with me. Spent the whole day with him. I wanted to talk to him. And took him to play golf, took him out to lunch, just messing around. And finally broke through the ice. Mm-hmm. And it's the love thing. He believes in all his buddies, it's a buddy thing. He plays ball with, he believes, he listens to all that junk. But old people, can't communicate with him. So I told my son, I called my son, I said, we need to finish the day off by having a little cookout, just me, you, my wife, him, sit down at the table, eat, and have to break bread, family, talk, include him, get away from all that other stuff, don't let him be around his boys. And you know what, about 12 o'clock when I sat at Chick-fil-A with him eating lunch, I broke the ice with him about why we wouldn't communicate. He didn't think we believed that what he was fighting and what he's going through we cared about. So just like that, we get talking. And he's got real sensitive ears about being criticized in sports. I said, Ron, oh, baby, right here now, we're getting on something we know something about. I said, you better get that thick skin. That skin better start, because as long as you're going to be in sports, that's the way life is. If you don't want that, get out of it, get you a guitar, let your hair grow, and do that. Nobody will criticize you for that. But if you're going to be in sports, you got to adhere to the coach's orders, the rules of the game.
Yeah.
You gotta play by the rules. Hey, and if you screw it up, you're gonna get criticized. See, that's just the way life is. And, he didn't understand that, why that has to be. And I try to explain to him, you know, it's just the nature of athletics.
It's a performance-based relationship.
It is, man. And one day, when you get to be 21 years old and you're out of college and you go to work and you got a boss and he calls your hind end in and he don't like the way you're doing something and he's gonna chew you up once. If you hadn't been there before, you're gonna run and you're gonna run back to mama. They want somebody to pacify you.
Yeah.
But if you are a man, you're gonna bow up and change ways and do what you're supposed to do.
And if you'll respect that man, and you do that criticizing, and you turn it around in love,
Yeah,
and you show him love back from that force, then you know what'll happen? You'll make a friend out of that person.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're here to show.
Yeah.
Show them that, yeah, go ahead, do your best, take your best shot. Kick, I mean, back when we were kids, they kicked, you know, they beat you up.
yeah.
They didn't talk to you, they bruised you if you did something wrong. But if you turn all that back and learn from it, take the good out of it, but take the force out of it, and don't take it into your heart and make you feel bad, but say respect, love, understand, and that's hard to do for a 12-year-old.
It is,
Yeah,
man.
because nobody's ever showed him that.
But
Everything on TV, everything in society, it's always push, and it's not right.
You know, and the last thing that we've talked about, I said, now Jackson, I'm your granddad. And here's what I'm proud of more than anything about your ball, about you as a good-looking boy, about all this stuff. Here's what I'm more proud of than anything. You have become a Christian.
Hallelujah.
And you're one of God's children. And me and you are going to be in heaven together forever.
And you're going to have to show him how to love Eddie. You're going to have to bring that into his life. Show him that it's great to be a man and tough and all that, but in love.
You know, because parents sometimes, they
don't know how. You didn't teach him because you didn't know how. Your dad didn't teach you half what you taught him.
That's right.
I know. We grew up that way.
That's right.
Men are tough. We don't cry.
But you know what? He quoted me a verse of scripture, man.
Hallelujah. But
When I
now,
said that to him.
does he know?
See, the love of God came out in him right there.
Good.
And we were on the same ground then. And that really touched me, man.
Good.
That really was, that made an impact on me. Because you know where his heart is now.
Good.
And
And grab a hold of him and hug him
yeah,
and kiss him. And tell him how much you love him.
Before I let him go yesterday, man, I put my arms around him, you know, I told him how much I loved him, how
Good.
proud I was.
Good.
You know, he just like a little
Sure.
warm, fuzzy bear.
We all need that.
Yeah,
I don't care.
you don't get too old.
You
for
hug
that.
me when I kiss you, and when I first started, you stuck your ears in front of you. And now you don't,
That's right.
because you didn't know how to receive that unconditional love, and that's what I'm talking about. None of us did. Our dads didn't do that with us.
Oh,
You know, I always had a problem with the Martha and Mary story. You know,
Yeah,
Martha was
yeah.
busy
Cooking. Yeah.
cooking and criticizing Mary because she was
At his feet.
receiving.
Yeah.
And so I found out that Mary, when you're dealing with divinity, you better be in the receiving mode.
yes,
And
sir.
not the performance mode. Okay? Now, when you are dealing with man and the way everything is, we shouldn't be in the performance mode, but that's where most people are.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all performance.
Yeah, it is.
But when you're dealing with God, He's saying, look, I'm the one that's giving you everything. I created you for my pleasure. I love you, and I want you in our fellowship. You know, let's just go back and just like you and your grandson. I mean, that's the same deal.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really fellowship that we need. I mean, he needs it too, but we need it more than he needs it, I guess.
We need that, that's that hole we're
Yeah.
talking about, Ed. That's filling up that hole with that
It
unconditional
is.
love, and it's God doing it. Yes, he's God, but he's also daddy. Abba, Father, daddy. And you can crawl up in his lap, and I don't care. I'm almost close to 70, you know, I'm a grown man.
You can still do it though.
Bigger than most people, not everybody, but bigger than most people. And I go up in his lap and I sit there and I say, Daddy, I need you to love on me. I feel, you know, I'm not receiving it from whomever. I want that unconditional love. And I get it. And he hugs me and he kisses me and he tells me how much he loves me. And he says, you're my most beloved son.
Right.
And you are his most beloved son.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of most. He's got enough most to go around to everybody.
At that time, he's out.
But and then that old hole in my heart is gone, man. And then I can look at tomorrow and create tomorrow in love. See, I can do that because of my Father. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's that personal relationship. That's living in the eternal now.
Right.
And that's where God's at. Outside of time, outside of space. That's God. And that's what we can do anytime we need to do it. So there's no reason not to have that hole in your heart full, gone, filled up.
And that's why all the troubles that might come to earth for other people don't have to come to us, to you.
We receive it or we reject it.
Right.
It's up to us. It's up to us. Do you want to receive that insult or do you want to
Right.
send it away? We don't have to. That's what the armor's for. We don't have to. And the people that are closest to you are the ones that got the sharpest spears.
True.
So, but it doesn't have to pierce your armor, man. You just don't have to let it do that.
You know, I got to teach Sunday school Sunday, and it's on Islam.
Oh, great.
That's going to be a challenge for me because unconditional love.
It's not there.
I mean, somewhere along the line, we got to break the barrier.
We will.
Right.
We will when that we can show them that we love them and without
Without condition.
without
Yeah,
a
without judgment.
performance-based relationship.
Yeah, I had a missionary call me the other day. I spent a week with in Mombasa, Kenya, and he worked with Muslims all his life in his mission work. He said what's happening right now in the Muslim world is more people coming to Jesus than there's ever been in the history. You know where it's coming from? The women. Our women are getting visions and dreams at night
Hallelujah.
and seeing Jesus. Jesus has appeared to them. And they're asking questions. They can't reveal it to their husband because the husband will beat the dog out of
Kill
them.
them.
But they're seeking out Christian people and asking them to explain this to them.
Hallelujah.
And his wife is one that does that a lot.
Great.
He has he calls me all the time and talks to me about that.
So
He's been incarcerated because of that over in Mombasa. They snatched him off the street because he's a Christian guy, and somehow or another a Muslim will come and get him out because he befriended him.
it's love.
It's love, man. He loves on.
And there's
No doubt love.
there is not a defense in the world that can stand up against love.
That's true.
It's not. I don't care. It's not. Love
You can paint
will
love.
dissolve
It's
hatred.
one of the spirit, fruits of the spirit, fruit of the spirit.
Yes, sir.
It says, and against such there is no law.
And there's no defense, there's nothing. Because love is God. That's what he is. He's pure love.
And you can paint love with many colors.
Yes,
So tomorrow, today, when you leave the parking lot, send that love forward. Walk in that light.
well, I
Be
try
in
to,
that love.
Jim's probably down there parked close to me, so I'll try to do that.
I'm parking in the back for
Oh,
But if you get into a habit of doing this, being in harmony with the soul and the spirit, then you're in what?
It'll become more of it.
Unconditional love. That's where it comes from, in that harmony.
No wavering.
No way.
No wavering.
Right.
No.
that's my man right there.
Hallelujah.
He does it, I guarantee you.
I know he does.
I prayed for him